There was a point when retiring in America actually felt within reach, but that reality has been slipping away. Costs keep climbing, savings don't stretch the way they used to, and the dream of a calm, comfortable final chapter drifts farther out of sight. Even so, there are still a handful of places, almost hidden, where life feels surprisingly gentle. Small towns where the rent won't suffocate you, the mornings stay peaceful, and the pace of everyday living finally eases up. For a lot of people, these spots aren't just appealing, they feel like a lifeline. As much of the country becomes harsher and harder to navigate, these communities manage to offer something incredibly rare: a sense of hope. Here are 10 of the best towns where you can realistically retire on Social Security alone. Number 10. Sandusky, Ohio. Sandusky isn't the kind of place that tries to impress you. It's not a glossy beach destination, nor is it tucked away in some dramatic mountain range. But that's exactly where the surprise begins. This quiet community on the shores of Lake Erie has quietly evolved into one of the country's most dependable havens for retirees who rely mostly or entirely on their Social Security checks. With the typical benefit landing around $1,900 a month, every dollar suddenly carries real weight. And in Sandusky, that money still has breathing room. Housing is where the shock really hits. The median home price hovers around $155,000. Dramatically undercutting what buyers face nationally. Renters fare just as well, with apartments often running between $650 and $900, rates that allow retirees to maintain a comfortable lifestyle without constant financial pressure. Add in utility bills that sit roughly 12% below the national average, and you start to see why this town stands out. These savings are the sort of hidden perks many other places don't advertise, simply because they can't. Healthcare, a non-negotiable for most retirees, is another quiet strength. Firelands Regional Medical Center earns solid marks, and specialized services are close enough that managing medications, appointments, and long-term care needs doesn't become a logistical nightmare. On top of that, Sandusky's property tax structure is gentler than what many Midwestern cities impose, which means retirees get to hold on to a little more of their income each month. But the real magic of Sandusky is the balance it strikes between affordability and things to actually do. Many budget-friendly towns keep your costs down by offering very little in return. Sandusky is different. The Lake Erie Islands, waterfront parks, fishing piers, walking trails, seasonal festivals, and peaceful residential streets create a daily rhythm that feels both slow-paced and genuinely enjoyable. Even a simple lunch out can still clock in at under $12, something that sounds almost unbelievable in much of modern America. Of course, no community checks every box. Winters here can be fierce, and the lake effect snow is no joke. Job prospects aren't exactly the town's selling point either, though that hardly matters to folks who have already clocked out of the workforce for good. When the real goal is stretching Social Security without sacrificing dignity or quality of life, Sandusky sends a refreshing reminder: you don't need luxury to live well. You just need a place where the numbers finally add up. And in a country where affordability feels like it's disappearing by the day, Sandusky continues to offer retirees something they desperately need: room to breathe. Number 9. Tallahassee, Florida. Tallahassee has quietly become a safe harbor for retirees who depend primarily on Social Security. And the explanation is straightforward. The cost of living here remains far more reasonable than in most of the Sunshine State. While Florida's coastal hotspots continue to skyrocket in price, Tallahassee manages to hold steady. The median home value sits around $260,000, a figure that looks almost modest when compared to the soaring prices in places like Miami, Tampa, or Sarasota. Renters fare better too, with one-bedroom apartments commonly landing between about $1,050 and $1,250. For someone living on a monthly benefit in the $1,900 to $2,000 range, that difference can mark the boundary between constant worry and a budget that actually works. One of Tallahassee's biggest financial perks often slips under the radar. Florida has no state income tax. Retirees keep every penny of their Social Security check, which can create a level of breathing room that other states simply can't offer. Property taxes are also generally manageable, especially once you step away from the more centralized neighborhoods. Healthcare access is another quiet strength. For a mid-sized city, Tallahassee offers solid medical coverage thanks to Tallahassee Memorial and Capital Regional Medical Center. Specialists are easier to reach than in many other southeastern cities. A major bonus for retirees managing chronic conditions or routine medical needs. Day-to-day expenses, from groceries to utility bills to fuel, tend to fall just below the Florida average. Because of this, retirees aren't constantly blindsided by unexpected costs that drain a fixed income. But affordability isn't the only draw. The quality of life in Tallahassee stands out precisely because it's calmer and more grounded than Florida's tourist-driven coastal cities. Residents have access to forests, lakes, nature trails, and parks that make outdoor living both accessible and inexpensive. A quiet morning at Lake Jackson or a leisurely walk through the Alfred B. McClay Garden State Park costs practically nothing, yet provides the kind of peace retirees often search for. Of course, the city isn't without its drawbacks. Summers can be intense, sweltering heat and thick humidity are part of the deal. And hurricane season brings its own layer of anxiety, even though Tallahassee sits inland. Still, when you compare it to the overheated housing markets across Florida, Tallahassee remains one of the few places where retirees on a fixed income can hold on to stability, comfort, and a sense of independence without stretching their budget past its limits. Number 8. Hickory, North Carolina. Hickory has steadily evolved into one of the most appealing retirement spots for people living on smaller, fixed monthly incomes. The overall cost of living comes in at about 14% below the national average, and housing is where retirees see the biggest payoff. The median home price sits near $230,000, and those who prefer to rent can usually find places in the $850 to $150 range. For someone relying on a Social Security check of roughly $1,900 a month, those savings aren't minor, they're game-changing. Healthcare is another area where Hickory punches above its weight. Catawba Valley Medical Center and Fry Regional Medical Center offer broad, reliable medical services, without the crowding, long wait times, or inflated pricing you'd expect in larger metro areas. For retirees dealing with routine appointments or ongoing health conditions, reliable access to care often matters far more than luxury hospitals, and Hickory consistently delivers on that need. Essential, everyday expenses also stay comfortable here. Utilities run cheaper than what most Americans pay, grocery stores remain competitively priced, and local entertainment rarely forces anyone to overspend. Many retirees appreciate the town's layout, too. Hickory's neighborhoods are compact and easy to navigate, meaning errands don't require long drives or steep transportation costs. What really distinguishes Hickory from other affordable cities, though, is its cultural richness. The town has deep roots in craftsmanship and furniture making, and that heritage shows up everywhere, from artisan studios and local museums to festivals and music events. Retirees who crave more than just a quiet place to sit will find a surprising amount of creative energy woven into daily life. Add in the public parks and the nearby foothills of the Blue Ridge Mountains, and you get plenty of low-cost or free outdoor recreation to round out the experience. Naturally, Hickory isn't perfect. Some areas still reflect its industrial past, and development moves slowly in certain pockets of the city. But for retirees focused on maximizing every Social Security dollar while still enjoying a comfortable lifestyle, Hickory strikes a rare balance: reasonable expenses, dependable health care, and a community that doesn't force you to sacrifice quality for affordability. Number 7. Danville, Virginia. Danville has steadily carved out a reputation as one of the most financially forgiving places for retirees who depend almost exclusively on their Social Security income. Housing costs are one of its biggest advantages. Median home prices land around $165,000, which is a fraction of what buyers encounter in many nearby states along the East Coast. Renters see similar benefits, with one-bedroom units often falling in the $700 to $900 range. For anyone living on a fixed monthly benefit, affordability at this level can dramatically simplify long-term budgeting. A major perk for retirees is that Virginia does not tax Social Security benefits, That alone leaves more money in people's pockets each month. Pair that with local taxes that tend to be gentler than those found in larger metro regions, and Danville becomes a place where income stretches noticeably further. Basic expenses like groceries and utilities also stay at fairly modest levels, giving retirees the stability of predictable monthly costs rather than constant financial surprises. Medical care is strong for a city of Danville's size. Sova Health provides dependable services, and retirees appreciate the ability to access specialists without having to battle enormous hospital networks or drive hours for appointments. For many older adults, efficiency and accessibility matter far more than gleaming medical campuses, and Danville offers exactly that. Beyond finances and healthcare, the lifestyle here offers several pleasant surprises. The city has invested in revitalized districts and scenic riverfront paths, giving residents beautiful spaces to enjoy without spending much at all. Walking trails, fishing spots, and community gatherings fit comfortably within the tightest budgets. Even dining out remains realistic. Plenty of local restaurants still offer meals in the $12 to $14 range, something that feels increasingly rare across the country. That said, Danville isn't flawless. Some older neighborhoods are still in the middle of revitalization efforts, and public transportation options are limited enough that owning a car becomes almost essential. But even with these drawbacks, the financial upside is hard to match. For retirees relying primarily on Social Security, Danville provides a rare blend of affordability, reliable healthcare, and day-to-day livability. It represents one of the few eastern cities where long-term retirement security feels genuinely attainable. Number 6. Greenville, Ohio. Greenville stands out in the Midwest for a very straightforward reason. The cost of living is so low that retirees relying almost entirely on Social Security can maintain a steady, comfortable routine without constantly worrying about money. With median home prices hovering around $150,000, it quickly becomes clear why Greenville ranks among the most affordable towns in the region. Renters enjoy the same advantage. One-bedroom apartments often fall between $600 and $800, a price range that's becoming almost unheard of in today's inflated housing market. Day-to-day expenses follow that same budget-friendly trend. Grocery costs typically run 8% to 10% below national averages, utilities stay reasonable, and healthcare access is far better than many expect from a rural community. Wayne Healthcare gives retirees consistent, trustworthy medical services without the stress and chaos that can come with large metropolitan hospital systems. For older adults managing prescriptions or chronic conditions, dependable and predictable care is far more valuable than flashy facilities. One of Greenville's underrated strengths is transportation. Because the town is compact and easy to navigate, retirees spend less on fuel and experience far less wear and tear on their vehicles. Saving money becomes second nature when most errands are a 5-minute drive instead of a half-hour trek across a sprawling city. The rhythm of life here is quiet and steady. Local parks, seasonal festivals, county fairs, and weekly markets offer low-cost entertainment that fits neatly into almost any budget. Many retirees are drawn to Greenville because it still feels like a classic American small town. Quiet streets, walkable blocks, friendly neighborhoods, and a sense of calm that's hard to find in busier places. For those seeking peace instead of nonstop stimulation, the atmosphere can be genuinely refreshing. Of course, Greenville has its limitations. Entertainment options are modest, so retirees who crave vibrant nightlife or heavy cultural activity may feel the town is too subdued. Winters can be cold and bump heating costs up a bit, but when the priority is stretching a Social Security check, usually around $1,900 a month, Greenville offers something increasingly rare: true financial breathing room. Few towns manage to combine such low housing costs, reliable health care, and predictable daily expenses as seamlessly as this one. Number 5. Greenville, South Carolina. Greenville has exploded in popularity over the past decade, yet it manages to stay surprisingly attainable for retirees whose primary income is their Social Security check. Housing is one of the city's biggest attractions. The median home price sits near $300,000, certainly not cheap, but still far more reasonable than in many of the South's rapidly growing metro areas. Renters also find workable options, with one-bedroom apartments typically running between about $1,050 and $1,250. That range gives retirees receiving $1,900 to $2,000 a month enough room to build a budget that actually balances. South Carolina's tax structure quietly enhances Greenville's affordability. Social Security benefits are fully exempt at the state level, and property taxes are generally lower than what you find elsewhere in the Southeast. For retirees juggling healthcare needs, groceries, and transportation expenses, that extra breathing room can make an enormous difference month after month. Where Greenville truly surpasses many comparably priced cities is in its healthcare network. With large systems like Prisma Health and Bon Secours, retirees have access to wide-ranging specialists and advanced care without needing to travel far. The combination of convenience and high-quality services is a major advantage for older adults who require frequent appointments or ongoing treatment plans. Daily living costs fall close to national averages. Groceries, utilities, and gas aren't unusually cheap, but they're not burdensome either. What offsets those costs is the abundance of free and low-cost entertainment. Mountain trails, riverside paths, outdoor concerts, public art, festivals, and community gatherings offer retirees countless ways to enjoy the city without overspending. Greenville's revitalized downtown adds even more appeal. Clean streets, inviting restaurants, small local businesses, and pedestrian-friendly routes create a warm, walkable environment. Many retirees appreciate that the city strikes a rare middle ground, lively enough to stay interesting, yet calm enough to never feel overwhelming. Of course, Greenville has its imperfections. Traffic can get thick during peak hours, and the city's rising popularity suggests that housing prices may creep up over time. Even so, Greenville remains one of the most practical and balanced southern cities for retirees living on a fixed income. It's a place where affordability, culture, solid health care, and day-to-day stability meet in a way that supports long-term, secure living. Number 4. Augusta, Georgia. Augusta offers something many retirees living mainly on Social Security desperately need: genuine financial stability. The median home price sits around $210,000, far below the national average, immediately making homeownership more realistic for those on a limited income. Renters may have an even easier time, with one-bedroom apartments often falling between $900 and $150. For someone receiving roughly $1,900 a month, that kind of affordability makes building a predictable budget much less stressful. Core expenses such as groceries, utilities, and transportation tend to hover at or below national norms. This consistency helps retirees avoid the unpredictable cost spikes common in places like Atlanta or other growing Georgia cities. Property taxes are fairly moderate, and the fact that Georgia does not tax Social Security benefits adds another layer of financial relief. Small on paper, but deeply meaningful to retirees managing every dollar. Healthcare is where Augusta truly shines. Augusta University Health and Piedmont form a strong medical network that offers specialized care, advanced testing, and steady reliability. Many retirees choose to relocate here for the healthcare access alone, knowing that dependable treatment becomes a lifelong priority as medical needs increase with age. Augusta also provides a comfortable and affordable day-to-day lifestyle. The Savannah River Corridor, canal trails, and city parks give retirees plenty of low-cost ways to stay active and enjoy the outdoors. Local events, modestly priced restaurants, and the city's relaxed pace create a sense of calm, without the isolation that sometimes comes with quieter retirement towns. Another strength is the city's easy layout. Getting around Augusta is simple, fuel costs stay manageable, and most essential services, shopping, pharmacies, clinics, are just a short drive away. Reduced transportation expenses play a bigger role in retirement budgets than many people realize, and Augusta quietly excels in this category. Of course, every city has drawbacks. Some areas show visible economic wear, and summer heat can be intense. But when you look at the overall equation, housing, healthcare, taxes, and everyday expenses, Augusta stands out as one of the most practical retirement cities for those living on fixed income. It blends affordability with reliable medical care, convenience, and a sense of security, making it a genuinely sustainable long-term choice for retirees. Number 3. Wichita, Kansas. Wichita offers something almost unheard of today: a genuine big city experience paired with the kind of affordability you typically only find in much smaller towns. For retirees leaning almost completely on their Social Security benefits, that combination is becoming incredibly rare across the United States. Housing is where Wichita immediately separates itself from the pack. Median home values hover around $210,000, and one-bedroom rentals usually fall between $850 and $150. These prices make it entirely possible for retirees to organize a stable, predictable monthly budget. When you're working with a Social Security check in the $1,900 to $2,000 range, every bit of affordability shapes the quality of your day-to-day life. The city's broader cost structure continues the trend. Groceries, utilities, healthcare, and transportation all sit below national averages. In fact, Wichita's overall cost of living is estimated to be roughly 12–14% lower than the U.S. average, an advantage that gives retirees financial breathing room they may no longer find in cities of a similar size. The city's layout keeps travel distances modest, fuel costs remain steady, and vehicle wear is reduced compared to sprawling metro regions. Healthcare is another category where Wichita performs impressively. Ascension Via Christi and Wesley Medical Center anchor the city's medical network, offering a wide range of specialized services including cardiology, orthopedics, and oncology. Retirees don't have to head to coastal medical hubs to receive advanced care. It's already available right in Wichita. The ease of accessing reliable treatment becomes increasingly valuable with age, and Wichita provides that without overwhelming complexity. Quality of life is an area where many affordable cities fall short, but Wichita manages to surprise retirees in the best way. Museums, symphony concerts, libraries, public parks, and nature trails are abundant, and far more budget-friendly than in major metros. The restaurant scene continues to grow, while keeping prices approachable. Many of the city's attractions are either low-cost or entirely free, making it easy for retirees to enjoy their days without watching money disappear. Beyond city limits, retirees can explore nearby lakes, peaceful small towns, and Kansas's wide-open landscapes. Wichita gives residents a sense of tranquility without stripping away modern conveniences. It avoids the gridlock and intensity of major urban centers while still delivering the amenities and cultural offerings people often want in retirement. Of course, the city isn't perfect. Winters can be brisk, and public transportation is limited enough that most retirees will still depend on a car. Even so, when you look at the financial reality, housing costs, everyday expenses, healthcare quality, Wichita stands out as one of the few mid-sized American cities where a Social Security check can still support a lifestyle with dignity, stability, and genuine comfort. These qualities are disappearing quickly in much of the country, but in Wichita, they're still within reach. Number 2. Sioux Falls, South Dakota. Sioux Falls has rightfully earned a reputation as one of the most financially supportive cities for retirees who depend primarily on their Social Security benefits. The state's lack of income tax immediately gives residents a financial lift, allowing retirees to keep their full monthly check. Pair that with a cost of living that typically falls 6–8% below the national average, and you end up with a rare environment where a fixed income still retains meaningful purchasing power. Housing is one of Sioux Falls' strongest pillars. Median home prices sit near $295,000, and one-bedroom rentals typically range from $1,000 to $1,200. While these numbers aren't the lowest in the Midwest, the city balances them out with savings in healthcare, transportation, and groceries, all of which tend to run lower than national norms. The overall effect is a predictable expense structure, something retirees value enormously when they're trying to maintain a reliable monthly budget. Healthcare access is exceptional for a mid-sized city. Sanford Health and Avra Health anchor the region with extensive networks, specialty services, advanced diagnostic options, and consistently high care ratings. Many retirees choose Sioux Falls specifically because they want steady, trustworthy healthcare as they age. And here, that stability is built into the city's infrastructure. Outdoor living is another major advantage. Sioux Falls maintains miles of river trails, clean parks, and well-kept recreational spaces that give retirees plenty of free or low-cost ways to stay active, social, and mentally engaged. The pace of life is relaxed without feeling empty, striking a balance that avoids the noise and congestion of larger metropolitan areas. The city also benefits from efficient local infrastructure that quietly reduces daily expenses. Traffic generally moves without major delays, fuel usage stays modest, and essential services, grocery stores, clinics, pharmacies, and shopping centers, are evenly distributed throughout the area. These small conveniences add up, saving retirees hundreds of dollars a year in reduced travel, maintenance, and time costs. Of course, Sioux Falls isn't without challenges. Winters can be harsh, and the cold may be tough for some retirees to handle. But for individuals who prioritize solid financial footing, reliable healthcare access, and predictable monthly costs, Sioux Falls stands almost alone. Few cities offer such a stable, supportive environment for retirees living on a single fixed income source, making it one of the most practical and reassuring retirement destinations in America. Number 1. Fort Wayne, Indiana. Fort Wayne has steadily emerged as one of the most financially practical retirement cities in the Midwest, especially for older adults relying heavily on their Social Security income. While many similarly sized cities have seen costs rise beyond what retirees can realistically manage, Fort Wayne continues to maintain an affordability profile that makes a monthly benefit of around $1,900 feel workable, sometimes even comfortable, rather than suffocating. Housing is easily the city's strongest selling point. The median home price sits close to $215,000, and one-bedroom rentals typically fall between $800 and $1,050. Those numbers place Fort Wayne far below many national peers, giving retirees the opportunity to live securely without devoting every available dollar to housing. Property taxes tend to sit at moderate levels for the Midwest, and neighborhoods just outside the main urban area offer even lower ownership costs, while still providing safe, well-kept surroundings and easy access to essential services. Everyday expenses remain refreshingly manageable. Grocery prices usually run about 7 to 9% below the national average. Utilities stay predictable from month to month, and transportation costs are notably low thanks to short drive times and minimal traffic congestion. Retirees end up spending less simply because the city is easy to move through, and that savings adds up quickly on a fixed income. Healthcare is another key factor that draws retirees to Fort Wayne. Parkview Health, one of the region's major nonprofit medical systems, offers extensive care options, including cardiology, orthopedics, cancer treatment, and services tailored specifically to older adults. The benefit here is not just quality, but convenience. Retirees don't need to travel long distances for specialized appointments, reducing both stress and medical-related expenses. Lifestyle quality often catches newcomers by surprise. Fort Wayne has invested heavily in public amenities such as riverfront trails, parks, green spaces, libraries, and cultural centers, all either free or very low cost to enjoy. The city's steady stream of festivals, concerts, markets, and community programs gives retirees chances to socialize and stay engaged without stretching their budgets. There are trade-offs, of course. Winters bring cold temperatures and snowfall, and public transportation remains limited enough that most residents still rely on a personal vehicle. But when you add up the full financial picture, housing affordability, healthcare access, reasonable taxes, and low daily costs, Fort Wayne stands out as one of the few cities where retirees can maintain independence and stability on a fixed income. It isn't flashy, and it doesn't try to reinvent itself every year. Fort Wayne simply functions well, and in a time when affordability is vanishing nationwide, that reliability has become remarkably rare for Social Security retirees.